Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the Honest Fan Podcast. I am your host, Tiana Hicks. And again, today I am so excited. Jade, I say that all the time on my podcast. Today I am so excited because I am joined by, I feel like my good friend, Jade, who I've virtually known on TikTok, just from her presence on TikTok and just sharing all of her gems. But she is a Gen Z career strategist or career coach. And she really just teaches everyone how to land jobs in this crazy competitive market. I know all of us are feeling the effects of like the layoffs and inflation and all the things. So I was like, how can I really provide, some insight or some value to our people? So I was like, you know what, let's bring Jade in. So Jade, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Feel free to tell us about a little bit about yourself, about your transition from college, what led you here. Feel free to take it away.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Jade Walters. I'm the founder of The Ninth Semester, which is an early career resource blog where I provide advice, tips, and job postings for Gen Z. I am a recent college grad, well, kind of not that recent anymore, getting a little old.
Okay.
I'm a May 2021 graduate of Howard University. So I'm a proud HBCU grad, and I'm currently working full-time, entry-level role within tech. And my journey to get to where I'm at now it's never been linear. Like, I went to school with the focus in maternal and child health. I don't even work in that public health spectrum anymore, but I have learned so much along the way on my professional journey that I really wanted to create a resource for others who are on that same path too. Because when I was trying to figure out like what I wanted to do post grad or just like any resources, I saw a lot of creators, especially career creators on TikTok, but no one that was really targeted towards Gen Z. Like, it was pretty much just like junior level and senior level. But I'm like, what about like the people who are still in college or who just got out of college, especially at this time we're in right now, the pandemic, the recession, inflation, it's a crazy time. So I wanted to create this resource, this platform where I'm just like pouring into others the same way other people have poured into me. So the Ninth Semester has been my baby, my passion project for the past year. And it's been really cool just like connecting with just other Gen Zers and just like sharing all these resources. Like, everyone just needs someone to just help them out. So I really see the Ninth Semester as that place where they can come and they can get the advice they're looking for. They can get the jobs, they can get the fun little memes and the jokes and like connect with someone who's like their peer and just definitely understands what they're going through.
Yes, I love that. I love it. And now you make me feel old because you're like, wait, I'm not a recent graduate anymore. I graduated in 2021. And I'm like, oh my God, I still tell people I'm recent. And I graduated in 2020. I graduated in 2018. Ooh. So maybe I need to move on. Maybe I need to just accept that it's not recent anymore. So love that. So you said that, what really helped you get to, I guess, land your first job and get to where you are now are like the creators that you saw creating career content, and you were able to use that to actually land your first job. And then you just kind of started to build from there.
Yes, like at this time, it was just like early 2021. I'm just like soaking in all the resources that they had. Like, I had a lot of like knowledge from other programs. I'm also in a business and professional sorority, but to actually hear it from people who have been senior in their career or work in HR and stuff like that, sharing information and sharing resources, I was soaking it all in and just taking in all their tips and tricks, because it was hard at that time when I was trying to find a job. Like, it was 2021 and like we were out of quarantine, but was still very much a pandemic. And it was such a weird time that I felt so lost. So I love TikTok as a platform. So I had already turned to them as a resource too, because even just during quarantine, I saw a rise in career creators. And I was like, I didn't even know that this was I knew it was a thing because I saw a few people, but it was such a thing. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is so helpful.
It's amazing. But the thing is, you literally took the wave and just rode it, because in a year you've grown your platform to like over 40,000, supporters on TikTok. and you're on Instagram and all those different places. So kudos to you for like seeing an opportunity and just riding the wave. So many people want to create a wave, but you literally just rode the wave up to the top. So love that for you. But we can go ahead and jump into the career questions because I know people are sitting on the edge of their seats and just kind of waiting for that. My first question to you is, with the job markets being so competitive right now, what are some things that we can do to just stand out, to be different from all the other people that are applying for the jobs? There are, I'm sure, thousands of people applying to these same entry-level jobs. What are some things that we can do to make sure that our application, you know, actually reaches the hiring managers?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I feel like for every industry, it kind of may be different. Like, I feel like if you're trying to go in a creative route, definitely a lot of people encourage like making sure your resume looks like nice. Like, sometimes I've seen people have a creative resume, but then they will also have like that standard resume. And then when you have your online portfolio, making sure that that's up to date. But something too that I would really encourage, because not a lot of people are on LinkedIn, but I feel like if you're like really trying to job hunt, I've been noticing that there's been an influx of like recruiters who are literally sliding in people's LinkedIn DMs and trying to get interviews for roles. And I feel like the more you build out your profile and the more you even use it too, because a lot of people know since I've been using it more, like a lot of the jobs that are being shared on the LinkedIn feed first. Like it would be probably when the application is about to drop, or if it just dropped, these same recruiters are making a post about it. Like something I always recommend to people is if you go on LinkedIn and search and you type in hiring, so you're looking for an internship, you can type in hiring intern or hiring marketing coordinator. You're going to see a bunch of posts of people who had used that word or used those words in their posts. And now you're seeing a bunch of different jobs. So I always encourage that. So like build out your LinkedIn profile, like everything from putting on your roles, putting in your pictures, and even like really utilizing their open to work feature. Like you could put the type of roles that you're looking for and where you're looking for in terms of like city location, and whether it's entry level or associate level, things like that. Like really use your LinkedIn to advantage, because a lot of people are on that platform. And I know sometimes LinkedIn gets that rep of being like a little corny and stuff, but I often do hear a lot of stories of people where it's like they were job hunting for months, cold applying, sending out all these applications and not hearing back. But then a recruiter slid in their DMs and was like, hey, we want to interview you. They went through the interview and now they got that job. So definitely try to use these different avenues. Don't just like stick to applying just a regular way. Create your LinkedIn. You can even slide in recruiters DMs too. Like if sometimes when offer LinkedIn jobs, it will show you the job posting, and then it will also tell you who's hiring. So something I have done in my past, like I'll see who's hiring, and then I'll go and I'll send them a little note. Like when I send like a connection note, like I have this template that I use, just, saying, I noticed that you're hiring for XYZ. I would love to like chat. I feel like I'll be a competitive applicant, something along those lines, just shooting my shot at recruiters. And so it's like a nice balance of them coming to you, but then you're also coming to them.
Yeah, I love that. And I was actually going to ask you, should we all be on LinkedIn? What's the T on LinkedIn? So it looks like you're like, okay, everyone needs to be on LinkedIn, but is it like, yes, I'm using LinkedIn as a platform to further my career, but do we need to be active on here? Like, I see people actually share some, accomplishments that they've reached in their jobs on LinkedIn. Like, do we have to be posting on here, or is it, I'm just getting on LinkedIn to communicate with hiring managers or, recruiters and stuff like that? So how do we need to look at it? Are we looking at it as social media or literally just a network platform?
I feel like it wouldn't hurt to post a lot on LinkedIn, because a lot of recruiters too, they like to see that someone is active on the profiles. Because I post a lot on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, it tells you the type of people who are looking at your page, and it will tell you like the industry that they're from, or if they're a recruiter or a hiring manager. And the more you post and the more you share your story, like someone would be like, hey, like you came across my feed, I noticed that you had the open to work for a marketing coordinator and you're interested in marketing coordinator roles. I'm hiring for marketing coordinator roles. I'd love to chat. So kind of like treat it like a social media, and also kind of like even share your story too. Like I've seen people who are open to work and who have been struggling to find a role, like they're sharing their story. They're like giving little tidbits about their life. Or I see a lot of LinkedIn posts where it's like a post where it's like, it's kind of like a networking session under this post, and everyone's just like pitching themselves, and recruiters sometimes go in there. It's like called Social Saturday or something like that. And the more people you follow and connect, you're going to see more of this content, whether it's the posts about job postings or these networking type conversations, and just sharing your story. I think it's just like a really great way to kind of like put yourself out there. And it's kind of like a documentation too of just like your journey. Like, say you were posting all these posts about like your struggles, and eventually now it's at a point where you got a job and you're sharing that story and sharing the knowledge, and it just is endless cycle and stuff. So definitely post. Like, you don't have to post all the time, but like make a little post like once every like few, like a week or every week or two or something, whatever works best for you, but keep it active like you would with any of your other social media platforms.
Just keep it active. I love it. I love that. I need to do a better job at LinkedIn. I mean, I just transitioned out of corporate America and I'm doing my business full time now, but I'm like, I can still use it. Like I'm sure I can still use LinkedIn to partner with different companies and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to navigate, what does that look like now as a full-time entrepreneur? But I'm sure I'll get the hang of it one of these days.
Mm-hmm. And there's I've seen a lot of full-time entrepreneurs too on the platform, just like sharing their story and just sharing more about what they do. And I think it's a great way of like really getting, especially for LinkedIn, just within your niche, is like you're really finding people who would relate to your content and tone into your content. And I think it's great. But I agree, like it takes a minute to like find your like balance, because even LinkedIn in itself, it's the way that they move there is so differently. Like sometimes the stuff is very corny, but then sometimes it's very helpful. I feel like sometimes it's a nice balance. Like I often like weekly at least find a post that's super helpful, whether it's like interview questions or someone who's sharing resources and stuff like that. And I always like save it and I reshare it for my audience, because I'm like, this is so helpful. I want other people to see it.
Yeah. Good. So I know we talked briefly about resumes, and you were talking, about having those two different ones. You said a creative resume and a standard resume. So what are, some common mistakes that you see people, especially millennials and Gen Z, what are some common mistakes that you see us have on our resumes? So basically maybe your top 3 or 5, do's or don'ts that you want to make sure that is on every single resume before you hit send application.
I think do's for sure. Lots of links. Like if you have, like, put a link to your LinkedIn, a link to your professional website. If you have your own business too, or your own blog, put that out on there. And sometimes some people may be like a little wary about whether or not they should share their business or their blog. But I think it's great because it shows that you're well-rounded and you have things that are going on in your life outside of your work. And it also could be a great conversation starter for your interviews. Like for years, I've always had the fact that I'm a blogger and I'm a content creator, and I used to write books on my resume, and that was always a conversation in the interview. And even just like showing these like extracurriculars too, like, well, extracurriculars or passion project, it just shows that you have a lot of skills that are like coming from things that you've invested in, and it just shows that you're well-rounded. So show your passion project, show all your links, use your resume to brag about yourself and let them know like who you are. A don't would be to just have too many bullet points talking about what you did without like backing it up with numbers. Like use a lot of quantifiable data to show the impact that you've had. So whether it's processes that you've improved, or if you ran, like, for example, social media platforms, and you can mention how much that platform grew by a certain percentage or a certain number, like use those numbers to really tell the story. Because there's one thing to just easily put, just like grabbing from the job description what your responsibilities do, but use this to just, like I said, to, highlight yourself in the best way possible and to show that you were in this role and you accomplished it. So show off your accomplishments. Another one, just like little things too, like you don't need to include your full address on your resume. I sometimes still see that from other people. It's like, it's at a point where it's like, it's not really needed. like if you want to put like your city, like I have, like for me, I have just like Chicago, Illinois, that's it. But like your full address is not needed. And especially when you're constantly sending out your applications, your
Yeah.
resume to different applications, you know, you don't want to have your full address out there. Like
Everywhere.
it's
Yeah.
just, it's too much to have out there. Exactly. It's always good to have someone review your resume too. Like, yes, you can work on your resume for hours and you're looking at it and you're like, feel like you're reading it through it with a fine tooth comb, but you might miss something. So if you have other people, just have them like skim over it, give you any advice, any notes that could be helpful. And even just like, I'm always big on just like, um, resources and tips too. So like I said, I will go on TikTok and I'm looking up, okay, resume tips and tricks, or resume templates. Like even if you're kind of confused on like what template to use, there's a lot of people out there who like, hey, like I have a free resume template and you can just like use it. And there's this other system called Resume AI. It's by One Salting, and they're another larger career creator. And I recently used it, and like you can just put your job, like it helps you build out your resume and also helps you build out your resume points. So like for one, you can put your job title and you can give like a list or one sentence description of what your job is, and then it will generate like 3 bullet points. And it's like when I used it, it was like the best resume bullet points ever. And I didn't have to use my brain to try and like think too much, and you can kind of customize it. So I'm like, there are resources that are making it even easier to help you create your resume.
Yeah. And you said it's called Resume AI.
Yes.
Okay.
By One Salting, and I can send it to you too. And it's
Yeah.
completely free to use. Like you get 20 free tokens, but like it's pretty much free to use, and it's super helpful for those who are like, whether it's their first resume or they just don't know how to switch it up or make it like a little spicier. It's really great.
Yeah, I love that. And is it even helpful for, so if we're thinking of, millennial and Gen Zs, where this might be their very first, big girl, big boy job that they're applying for, and it's still kind of easy to, I guess, maybe tie in maybe some internships or some work study jobs that they did in college to, be able to brand themselves for this now corporate world.
Yes, it's very helpful because like there's 2 parts to this website. Like there's the part where they give you a resume template and you're able to fill it out, and they're like telling you what can be put in what section. And then you can also use the resume bullet points to help you too. So it's like you have the template that you're already working on, and you can go to the part where you can create the resume bullets and put it in. So it's like you're building your whole resume on this website, and it's for free and it's all for you. And they do a really great way of breaking down like what each part of the resume is and what should be mentioned and stuff like that. So it will help you and give you like an idea of like, okay, this is how my resume should look like. And it's a standard like template that a lot of people use too. So it's really great. So I definitely would recommend that for like first
Yes.
timers who are just, they trying to like just, make themselves look really, really great so they can get their
Yes.
first job.
Yes, love that. So I see on your TikTok all the time that I'm like, how in the world does she know about all these amazing internships and all these amazing jobs? And it's not even like boring jobs like customer service rep, or not. I'm not saying that it's bad to be a customer service rep. I'm just saying like that's just like an average job, like you see that in every single company. But so like not something like that, or not a phone representative, but like things where you can actually be a part of a team and actually feel like you're moving the needle forward for these companies. And I'm like, how in the world are you finding them? So what are some of your favorite websites to use to find these great jobs that you share on social media?
For how I find them, like honestly, it's a mixture. Like these are programs where when I was in college, I knew people who were a part of these programs, or I would see the applications being shared for them. So even when I didn't get a chance, I'm like, okay, I remember that this company has a really cool program, and this company. So I'll just keep that in the back of my mind. But then there are also, what I really like, there's like Gen Z focused job boards. So Handshake, a lot of colleges have like a kind of like through your university email, like you already have like a Handshake, or like for their job centers, a lot of college and universities, they work with Handshake. So Handshake is one that I heard a lot and I used when I was in college. That's how I got my first internship, through Handshake. And there's other similar ones such as Jopwell. Jopwell is specifically targeted towards Black, Latinx, and Native American students to really connect them with like these top companies. And it's like the big boys, it's Goldman Sachs, Google, things like that. Like these are like really big companies who are very passionate about diversifying their company and, you know, doing all these DEI initiatives that they talk about, and they're like putting money behind it and working with these organizations to help find these students. So I really like that one. And then there's other ones like Way Up, which is very similar to Handshake. And then there's Riddle and Bloom. And this one is specifically a campus marketing agency and is about campus rep programs. Like a lot of students don't know about what it is to be a campus rep. And it's like really cool. Like you can do it for companies such as Prime Student, HBO Max, Adidas. And it's through these agencies you get these rep programs. So I'm often sharing internships and campus rep programs because sometimes you may not have the capacity to do a full internship while being a student, but you may have room to be a campus rep program because those are usually about at minimum 10 hours a week. And it's great pay, great opportunity to network, get to do really fun events on campus, get lots of swag, super cool things like that. Yeah. So those are websites that I look at, but I'm also at a point too where I'm on LinkedIn and I'm just seeing all these different internships and people are talking about it, especially the recruiters I'm following. They're like, hey, we have like spring and summer internships coming up, and I'll see their post and I'm like, I need to show this to my audience. I need to let them know to get on this because it seems so cool. And it's like some stuff where I was like, where was this when I was in college? Like I did not see some of these.
Like y'all have better stuff than I did. Way better.
They definitely do, especially after 2020. Like some of the programs I saw, I'm like, where were you a year ago? Like, what is going on? Which is great because now other people get to experience that. And companies are really starting to like understand that Gen Z are really like the ones that are driving your business. So like work with them. Like they're really cool.
Oh, that is amazing. I'm going to actually tell because I have some younger cousins that are in college right now. I'm going to tell them about this campus rep thing because I'm sure they don't know, but I'm going to drop a bug in their ear so that they can go ahead and get on it. Because if like, that's one of the things that I wish I could have done better when I was in school is like, just made sure, or just try just a tad bit harder to actually get an internship before I went out into the corporate world. And I'm like, hire me. And they're like, what experience do you have? And I'm like, I worked at a grocery store. And it was totally different. So yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad that they have that for you guys now. So my last question for you is, so let's say that we've perfected our resume. We've been on the job boards that you've told us about. We've connected with the recruiters on LinkedIn and stuff, and we finally have gotten the interview. So we're inside of the interview now. What are some tips that you would give to us to make sure that we leave a lasting impression on the hiring team? Any best practices, any like questions that we need to be answered, asking at the end of the interview or anything like that?
Definitely number one is to do your research on a lot of companies, because sometimes some people that get the interview and they completely forget to do their research on the role or the company themselves, and because they're thinking, oh, they'll just tell me about it in the interview. But if you come knowing who they are already and just knowing what they're about and know what the role's about, and you're able to speak on that as you're talking, then you're going to leave an impression because it's like you're showing them I did my research to like understand what's going on. And yes, of course, like I know you'll tell me more, but like I'm coming in and I'm not completely like blindsided by things, or I'm not like confused on what you're about. So do your research and not a lot of people are doing it too. And another thing too is to always ask questions. When I was much, much younger in my career, sometimes I didn't have, questions I didn't know. Like it was just like my first internship or something. But a lot of people, once again, they don't ask questions. So I think some really great questions would be it on the top of my head. Questions about like the work culture too. So especially now that some of us are hybrid or remote, like trying to figure out like what is the culture like? What are you guys values? How do you guys work together? Is it more collaborative or is it independent? You can ask questions. I know for me as a Black woman, I'm going to ask questions about like, what are you doing to help support other minorities in the office? Do you have business resource groups? Like, what are you doing? Like, is it like, I want to make sure that if I'm in this space, there's safe spaces within this space for me to feel safe and protected, especially coming from an HBCU and coming from growing up in Brooklyn, New York. Coming into corporate was my real first time being around people where I was the minority. So it could be jarring, and that's a whole other tangent, but asking questions about that. And a really great question I like to ask too is, what is expectations for someone new within the first 30, 60, 90 days? So you understand, okay, within the first 30 days, I need to do this, or 60, 90, things like that. And I guess another favorite question I like to ask is asking the interviewer themselves, like, what is something that brought them to this role and what has kept them there? Because then you're able to hear about like how their time has been there. And you can kind of tell from, how they're answering, like, are they really having a good time? Is it that great there? Because it's like sometimes you can tell some people just like get really beamed just talking about it and how they feel comfortable. But sometimes it's like, are you beating around the bush? I'm sensing something.
Yeah,
so
I'm sensing
those are some questions
tension.
I can think off the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is so good. I've never asked, I never thought to ask anyone that. I have asked them, like what's your favorite part of the job, or I guess something along the lines of like, what brings you joy of like coming here every day? Because we know like sometimes going to the job, it can feel like a chore, and you don't ever want a job that feels like a chore. Like you want to wake up, you want to be like, yes, it's early. We all know we would love to sleep in a little bit longer, but I actually enjoy going into the office, or I actually enjoy logging in. So what's that one thing that you enjoy that helps you get out of bed in the morning? So that is really, really good. I think we had one question come in from our viewers, and they said, I guess this is based off when you were saying that we need a creative resume and a standard one. They asked, what are your recommendations on media kits? And I don't know if that's what you meant by creative resume.
So for my knowledge, media kits are more so like if you're an influencer and you're pitching yourself to brands, I definitely say have that. I have one. So whenever I'm pitching to brands, like it tells them a little bit who I am and, what my demographics look like, what my rate is, what the deliverables I offer are. So if you're trying to get into that realm of being a creative, definitely have a media kit. And I really like that Canva, they have a lot of media kit templates too. So it is literally customization, plug and drop, and it makes it so much easier. And the templates are so cute. So definitely use Canva.
Yes. Perfect. So that's what you guys need. So we can transition into our money round. It's just 3 fun questions that I like to ask to get to know you just a little bit more, so that our viewers can know more about Jade that is like outside of, the career strategist that you are. So my first question is, what is a book that you've read in the past that has completely shifted your perspective on money or business?
Ironically, I haven't read many books on money or business, but right now I am currently reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's all about just like becoming better with your habits and, reaching your full potential. And I like it. I read the introduction in the first chapter in, but I just already feel empowered. I'm like, okay, I'm about to do XYZ. I'm about to be the best person. And I think just going into 2023 with that mindset of like, these are my habits. Cause I do want to become more consistent with my content and the work that I'm doing. And like I had mentioned, like I'm starting a podcast. Like I could feel like I could be even more consistent. And once I make these things, like once I figure out the habits of it, I'll feel better. And like, I'm all about like reaching your full potential and just being like a total boss baddie. So I really like it. And I heard about that book so many times. I was like, okay, let me buy it. Like,
yes. Jade, and you talking about you haven't read a business book. That is a business book, girl. And then you said,
that's a good point.
Yes. And then she said, be more consistent with TikTok. Meanwhile, every time I get on TikTok, she's the first one that comes up. I'm like, oh my gosh, she posted 4 times today and I haven't posted in like the last 3 days. Jade, if you wanted to call me lazy, just say that. I love that, girl. But listen, if you want to bump it up, do it. I'm all here for it. I'm claiming that next year at this time, we're going to look back when it's November of 2022 now, but next year at this time, I'm like, Jade is going to be at 100,000 TikTok followers. So we're just going to head and claim that. We're going to claim that Atomic Habits
manifesting
hits you where exactly where it needs to, and we'll kick this, content up a notch. So love that. So majority of my audience are the go-to person in their family or their friend group. So that means they're always pouring into someone else. So we're curious, what are some things that you do to, pour into your cup, to some self-care things that you like to do, so to make sure that you're not pouring from an empty cup?
That is a big thing. I was literally just finishing telling my friends about how, like, I often feel like sometimes I'm pouring from an empty cup, and I love to be that go-to person for others. But when I get those moments where I feel so burnt out and I'm like, I need to take a step for me, that's when I'm honing into new hobbies. Like I recently started doing Pilates at Solid Core. I started over the summer, and it's been great because like I've never been a workout girly, but every time I go, the class is 50 minutes. So like I have 50 minutes to me, dedicated to me, to become stronger. And I always feel better when I work out too. So like making sure I prioritize a workout at least once a week. Like ideally I would like to do it more, but with the schedule of my life, I can't. But like trying to do that more. Or if I'm not working out, I really love cooking. So like if there's like a new recipe I want to try, like that weekend, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this recipe. Or I love playing The Sims. Like I've always like played The Sims for years.
Yes.
So I got back into it. Like I have a gaming laptop, and on the side now, like I do like I've been content creating for 8.5 years. So I always kind of like it always finds its way back in my life. So I have like a Sims TikTok, because that's like a big thing on TikTok too. So I'm just like posting like clips of my gameplay and just something fun for me, but then also just like really taking that time to just like play this game and just manifest my life in a game, or just like do funny silly things to just forget about life and just jump into the game. So those have been like my major hobbies. And also just like reading too. Like I used to read a lot growing up, so this year like I made it my mission to like fill up a bookshelf. And now I'm looking right at it. It's like straight ahead, and it's like completely filled up with like 100 books. And I haven't even read all of them, but like it makes me happy to see that, because like when I do want to read them, I can just go and I can just grab a book right there and transport into a whole nother world just through reading.
Yes, that is so cool. So that's why I really love the money round, because I feel like I would have never known that about you. Like I would have never thought that you had a sim TikTok and that type of stuff. Like especially during the pandemic, I used to be obsessed with sim as well, like, my younger days, but then during the pandemic, we're stuck at home. Like it just took us completely out of our norm. So then I went back to, playing Sims for a little while. So that is really, really cool to know that you have, like your own little TikTok just dedicated to something that, just brings you joy, just something mindless. Like, you can post on there if you want to, no pressure. So yeah, that is really, really cool. My last one is, what would you say to someone that may be listening? So maybe they are a Gen X or a millennial that is fresh out of college, fresh out of grad school, whatever. And they're looking for that first entry level corporate job. And right now they're getting so many no's. They're getting way more no's than they're getting guesses. They're getting way more denial emails than they're getting interviews. What words of like encouragement would you say to that person to just kind of keep going?
Something someone has said to me, like there's a few phrases that like I keep in mind to just stay sane and remembering. But something someone told me was like, this is for now, not forever. So being in this state right now, wherever you are, where you're getting all these rejections and it's so hard, just reminding that like it won't be like this forever. And it's so much easier said than done, but you just have to keep reminding yourself that like that job, that break is going to come, and you don't know when, and you can't sometimes don't even know how, but you have to have faith in knowing that it's coming. And that has to be something to drive you, because if you keep thinking so negatively and just getting upset, it's just going to take a toll on you. So just be delusional and just be like, my dream job with whatever X amount of money is going to come and blah, blah, blah. Because I really do believe that there's power in the tongue, and there's power in what you say and put out there in the universe. So if you keep saying it and you keep believing it, it's going to come. So that's something that I use for literally everything in my life, no matter how stressed out or how rough something may be. I'm just reminding myself that like this is for now, not forever. Because there will be things I'll be stressed out, worried about. Like, for example, when it took me forever to get my entry level job, like I couldn't see an end to it. I was like, how am I going to get out of this? But then looking back, it came so unexpectedly. Like I didn't expect it to come when it did. And when it did, like my life completely changed. So that's like my biggest thing, to just, because you have to just keep yourself sane. And if you're in a spot where like you feel like you're applying and you're getting so much rejections, like if you can take a break, stop applying, take a step away, rethink your strategies, or maybe just not even think about it for like a week or something, or 2 weeks, and just gather yourself back up. Because every time you take that break, you might come back and you might feel more empowered. You might feel like, I definitely got this. And then that might be the time when you actually get it, because you had to like take a step away for all these good things to come your way and get yourself all together.
Yes, I love that. And I feel like it really ties into my favorite scripture. I feel like my favorite scripture maybe changes like the seasons, but my favorite scripture right now is Galatians 6:9, and I have it like taped to my computer. But it says, so let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we'll reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. And I feel like in essence, that really spoke to what you just said, like just keeping the faith, like just keep going, knowing, you're trying your best, knowing you're doing all that you can. And it's not for naught. Like, it's never going to go to waste. And like the scripture said, at just the right time. So like, you never know, like at just the right time, but you never want to give up too soon. And it could have happened next week. You just never know. So at just the right time, you'll reap a harvest of blessing if you don't give up. And once you look back on it, you're going to be like, you know what? I can see why it didn't happen fresh out. Like I could see why it needed to take a little longer, because I needed to develop something within me to even land this job, where not only did I land it, but I was able to keep it and grow within this company.
Yes.
God never wants to bless you with something, and then, something exactly what you asked for, that you've been wanting, and then take it away in 2 weeks because you didn't know how to act, So that's what I like to say. Maybe
I agree.
Maybe he's preparing me.
And sometimes he's protecting you too, like that job or that thing you really, really want. Like maybe there's a reason why you didn't get it. Because I've seen that too. Like there would be a role that I really, really, really wanted and I didn't get it. And then the next week or so, I log onto LinkedIn and I see that company did mass layoffs, and people who were in that role that I wanted also got laid off, or the company is under fire for something. Like you never know what's going on behind the scenes. But even because sometimes the things that you really, really want aren't what you want, and you don't realize at the time. So God is protecting you from that. And I feel like that's better than anything. Like you may not understand then, but down the line, the truth and the reasoning, it will come to light.
Yeah. That is so good. So Jade, let us know where we can find you, what you have going on. If people want, listen to this and they're like, listen, I need to work with her. What are some steps that we need to take?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn at Jade Walters. I'll definitely send all these links to you to share with everyone. I'm on TikTok and Instagram at the 9th semester. I post mainly on TikTok, and sometimes Instagram, I'm just like sharing the info there, but you can find me a lot more on TikTok. And soon I will be launching a podcast, and once that's up, I definitely will talk about that. I'm excited. Like I'm seeing so many podcasts. I'm just like, I want to talk, because there's so much I want to say that you can't necessarily say in like a 30-second TikTok, and just all these conversations that I want to have with people, or just like sharing my thoughts and my tidbits. So I'm excited, and it's fun to just share all of this and have these conversations. Like, so definitely find me on there. And I'm very excited. Like I'm excited to see where the 9th semester goes, and just like the more people that I'm helping. Like often I get messages from people who tell me that they use my blog and my resources and the tips, and it's helped them get their first job, or they got a new job. And it's so exciting, because I'm like, yes, like this is exactly why I created this, to like help others, because then they're able to help other people with that knowledge too that they were able to get. And it's just that ongoing cycle of just like us helping each other out and reaching our full potential.
That is so good, Jade. Thank you so much for stopping by and gracing us with your presence. I feel like I've learned a lot. I'm sure our audience have learned a lot. So you guys, I'll have everything that she mentioned in the show notes, all the resources, as well as her information. But that is all for now. Thank you guys for sticking with us, and we'll see
Thank you.
Bye.